What's going on, everybody? Alongside TJ Calkins, Jay Sannon here with ATS, getting you ready for UFC 271. Of course, headlined by Adesanya and Whittaker. And TJ, I know you've got 4 plays on this card. We will get to the main event in just a little bit because that is one of those 4 plays. Before we get there, let's start with some of the other fights on the night. Start with Casey ONeill and Roxanne Modafferi. ONeill, a huge favorite, minus 400 in this fight. Is there any path here for Modafferi, or do you think ONeill controls it?
I mean, I don't see it, but going in the Macy Barber fight, we said there's absolutely no path for Modafferi to win, and well, Macy Barber blew out her knee, so these things happen. Uh, this is actually Roxy's retirement fight. Um, she is a poster child of what hard work and dedication can do when God has not blessed you with the God-given ability that most every UFC fighter has that she simply does not. Uh, she needs to essentially be in top position grappling to be a successful fighter. And what she's running into here in Casey ONeill is an absolute monster at 24 years old on the ground. She's doing nothing but ascending, and in 3 chances under the UFC banner, she's had 3 ground finishes, and she's not showing any signs of slowing down. Her wrestling's getting better, her striking's getting better, but once on the floor, I mean, even if she's the one taken down, she'll have no problem sweeping. Uh, Her positional control on the floor is just so amazing. And after her first fight, in a post-fight interview, she just said, "I could just tell my hips are so much stronger than hers." And I mean, that's essentially going to be the case all the time. There's really something special here when she's on the floor, and especially in top position. So what we're going to see is Modafferi. She needs a grapple. Now she's fighting a superior grappler, and we're going to see Casey ONeill get on top. And we've seen her work the ground and pound to get to the position she wants. And if the opponent is unwilling to move that to that position, she's just going to keep raining down the punches. And I think that might be what happens here. And we've seen in the last couple fights, Modafferi really isn't reacting well to taking damage. And I think for someone that has specialized in not being finished, despite having a pretty substantial losing record, I think ONeill gets the finish here in the second or third round on the floor. And for the minus 400 favorite, we're getting plus 175 on the inside the distance line. And I understand that there's some risk involved, but the value moving to the ITD at plus 175 is exactly what I want to do.
TJ, next up, we go with Jared Cannonier taking on Derek Brunson. Cannonier, a minus 175 favorite, building a ton of momentum, is Cannonier. Do you think he keeps it going with a victory in this fight?
Yeah, I really do. He is just such a strong and powerful guy. And essentially, one specific skill that he has shown throughout his middleweight tenure is even if he's taken down, he pops right back up. You can't control him. And that's what Brunson's been doing. He's on a 5-fight win streak, but he's fought guys that tend to get stuck on their back. Kevin Holland, Darren Till's not a grappler. He's a striker. I mean, I thought Till fought a terrible fight there, and I think he wins more often than not against Brunson. But Shabazian's another one. So we're seeing actually a big step up as far as completion of skill set for the opponent Brunson's facing here. And what's going to happen is Cannonier's power is going to be the difference, and Brunson is not going to be able to have the wrestling approach that's going to bring huge success like he's had recently. We've seen Brunson knocked out 5 or 6 times, usually in the first round in the UFC, and I think we're going to see that again. Brunson, when he runs into a fighter with that complete skill set, whether he doesn't want takedowns or can't keep that top control, when he tends to eat the shot and go out. And while he has had a nice little resurgence and run here, I think it ends here in Cannonier's next up for Adesanya if he wins, or he might have to wait for Whittaker, Bobby Nuck 3 and see what happens there if Whittaker wins.
Now, TJ, I want to get your thoughts on my most anticipated fight of the night at UFC 271. It's Derek Lewis. He's taking on the Shoei God, tied to Ivasa. Lewis minus 190 as a favorite, but more importantly, fireworks expected, to say the least. Minus 550 for this fight to end inside the distance. Who do you think ends it inside the distance here?
Well, I think it's something of a coin flip. I really do. So what we're doing is we're looking at where the value presents itself. Derek Lewis is a minus 190 favorite, minus 140 to win inside the distance. And I think that's insanely high. We're looking at Tuivasa. He's going to be the aggressor at the onset. And we have seen Lewis thrive against guys who don't have that big power to throw back at him. He's in Stipe isn't a huge power guy, but he never had to fight him. He fought the broken version of Ngannou. He's knocked out guys that are essentially wrestlers or not heavy hitters. And what Lewis does is he just takes it in, he gets his reads. He's pretty inactive at the beginning of essentially all of his fights. And we saw him knocked out recently by Gon. And these guys are going to throw, and Tuivasa is going to hit the calf a few times, and Lewis is going to get worried. And then we're going to see the brawl, but we're going to see perhaps an already compromised leg out of Lewis, and we're going to see Tuivasa work all three levels, so work the body as well. I just think and we've seen Derek Lewis hurt by body shots before. I think that's a huge thing that we need to recognize here. He could be knocked out by a body shot, while he needs to completely headhunt on Tuivasa. And we're getting plus 215 on the inside the distance line on Tuivasa on what I see as a coin flip, almost assuredly a knockout ending. So that's huge value. I want that plus 215, and I want to see another Chewy. The post fight, no matter who wins, is going to be gold. So we're all going to win no matter what.
Oh, right, you are on that. TJ, last up, the main event of UFC 271. It is Israel Adesanya. It is Robert Whittaker. It is the rematch. Adesanya, a big favorite, minus 280 in this fight. Do you think he retains the middleweight title here?
Maybe, slightly, probably. See, it's the betting line that's absolutely ludicrous here. 280 is insane. The first fight, that was the worst fight we've seen Whittaker fight in like 6-8 years. It's unbelievable. I believe he's won 13 of 14, and that was his one loss. He was overzealous. He was rushed. It was just unquestionably a different fighter than we're accustomed to seeing. And now we've seen him bounce back. He's dominated 3 high-end opponents since that fight. And he's back to his old self. And he openly talks about the mental struggles he was going through, and really, truly adjusting, having a hard time adjusting being champion. So the betting line is insane. I mean, that is the biggest factor in this fight. We're going to see Whittaker far more measured. We're going to see a much longer fight. I think it's almost certainly going to go to a decision this time. And now we've seen Adesanya. He's not so untouchable as he was in the first fight. We've seen Blachowicz beat him. And it wasn't just the grappling, but it was the grappling. And we see Izzy kind of slow down a little bit in the later rounds. So if Whittaker can land a takedown or two, that's going to be huge in those later rounds. I don't think he's going to have huge success in the first round. I think that'll be Adesanya's round. But I think going from there, third round on, it's going to be much closer for Whittaker, and he's going to intelligently work his way inside. He's going to be able to land those strikes. Takedowns, we don't know. We just don't know if he's going to shoot them. I think he can land them. I think it would be huge if he does. But I think he's going to have more success in this fight, much more like the Romero fights. And granted, Romero is much different than Adesanya, but Adesanya will slow down. So it's just the insane value we're getting on Whittaker plus 230. I have to take it, even if I think Adesanya is slightly more likely.
Folks, you're not going to want to miss it. Go to ATS.io. Get TJ's full written previews of each and every one of the fights we just discussed. TJ, thank you as always for your expertise. Until next time, TJ Calkins, Jay San, and Saint, see you later. Good luck on your UFC 271 bets.